I haven't even done the 2 remake, but the 2 remake's a weird situation where, like, for all intents and purposes, it was someone squatting on a plate in front of you, being like, how do you know it'll be shit if it hasn't come out yet? And then a solid gold bar came out. This is what I've heard. So it's like...
We are back with a new installment of KillFeed. I'm Mike.
I'm James.
And joining us after the release of their new album Fleshwork, we are joined by PUPIL Kate Davies, and Josh Andrews. Guys, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having us again.
Nice to see
you
again.
Welcome back, yeah.
Yeah, nice to see you.
So, because this is your second time back, we're not going to go back to the questions of your history with gaming, so if anybody's interested in checking that out, be sure to go back and read the first interview. But for now, let's just dive right into it. What have you been playing lately?
Oh, well, lately, right now, actually going through Vermintide 1 and 2, which has been fun. I haven't played those before. I'd played Darktide when it came out, and I'd always sort of been like, oh, it's just a Left 4 Dead clone with a Warhammer skin. But it's a good Left 4 Dead clone with a Warhammer skin. So
I mean, if it's fun, it's fun.
Yeah, it's been fun. I really, just because it's something to dip in and out of, we've been really busy with the album coming out a week ago now. I got Hades 2 when it came out, and I still haven't gotten stuck in, because I love Hades 1. It was one of my favourite games that year, and 2's out, and I waited. I didn't play any early access, and I was like, right, I'm going to smash this when it comes out. I haven't played it.
If there's a title you're really excited about, do you kind of hold it for after the album release then, so you can really dive into it?
Yeah, I know Hades 2 is going to be a title that's like, I'm going to need like 50 hours over a couple of weeks to just focus on that. I don't want to hop in and out, and it's the same with like RPG. It's the same reason I haven't got round to Death Stranding yet, because I'm still like, okay, I know that's going to be like 100+ hours of just moving boxes around. Looks great, but I haven't committed that time yet. Same with like Kingdom Come. I know Josh has done Kingdom Come 1 before. But yeah, and Blueprints has been the main thing at the moment as well. Blueprints is absolute filth. Probably the best game ever.
Josh, what about you?
For me, it's been a bit of a slow year on the games. Been itching to play some of the new Switch 2 games, but sadly it's just consoles and everything's getting quite expensive now, so I've not quite dived into that. So I've been mainly revisiting stuff. I've played Kingdom Come 2 at the beginning of the year. I played a full run through of Red Dead Redemption 2 for the first time since it came out again, and then straight into Red Dead Redemption 1. Gotta say, Red Dead Redemption 1 hits super well after a full playthrough of the second game. The feels, they tied it together really well, and then I think the last game I played was the MGS3 remake, and then I decided to do like a full in order playthrough of the MGS games, and then I played like 2 hours of MGS5, and I was like, God, this game's kind of shit.
Yeah.
Just can't be watching
you weren't enough of a hater when you came round the first time, because I can't remember if we talked about this on the last interview, but I got Josh into MGS, and I'd done the years long gap waiting for 5 to come out and being like, it's gonna be the best game ever made, and then it came out and it was like, yeah, it's got good gameplay, but and being so heartbroken over that, whereas Josh just didn't have the gap, and he was like, yes, alright, it just wasn't as good as the others, and I was like, it's the biggest betrayal in the history of gaming, and it's so over.
Top 10 anime betrayals kind of shit.
Hey, when you've been waiting for something for years, yeah, it hits heavier. I hear that.
I mean, we don't know because we're giant Silent Hill nerds, and Konami has actually delivered the goods on those, so I can't really complain.
I haven't played F yet. That's another one. That's like, I know it's going to be like a weekend of just like 1 or 2 long sessions to get through it. It's a Silent Hill game, but I'm excited. I've managed to avoid like everything about it, so I haven't even done the 2 remake, but the 2 remake's a weird situation where, like, for all intents and purposes, it was someone squatting on a plate in front of you, being like, how do you know it'll be shit if it hasn't come out yet? And then a solid gold bar came out. This is what I've heard. So it's like, everything pointed to Bloober are not going to be able to do this, and then for some reason they came and they did rewrites. They got like a consulting team featuring like Jacob Geller in to like make sure they didn't fuck up the tone. And I have heard the prison section has been like extended when it was already too long in the original though.
There are definitely changes, but like even as somebody who has devoted so much of my identity to that one singular game, I walked away content. They definitely had, I would argue, a slightly easier challenge because the source material was so incredible to begin with. Like the raw materials themselves were so ripe, and it was more like if they just took that and like gave it a nice like shine, like gave it the nice graphics and the nice controls, people would be happy. And they did that. I've heard concern about Silent Hill 1 remake that they're working on now, like, but after 2 came out and that like they managed to thread that needle, I'm happy to like give them the benefit of the doubt.
But then Cronus came out and it was like, oh yeah, Bloober's back to being shit.
I haven't played it. I bought it and I need to play it.
Yeah.
But Josh, you said something that was interesting, where you did the full kind of like in order playthrough of the Metal Gear Solid series, which is something that Kate had brought up, where they were like, you know, every game that they play, they have to, you know, like do it in order, 1, 2, 3, like do the full thing. Did you pick that up from Kate, or was that just like thing of circumstance for that one particular series?
No, I think it's because I did MGS in like release order the first time. So, because it jumps back and forth, the timeline of it. Just because I did the new MGS3 remake, and that is technically like the canon start of the timeline, I was like, okay, 5 comes next in like the sequence if you were doing it in that way. So
even though I disapproved of the skipping of Peace Walker again.
But yeah, I mean that's Kate's. Just I'm not at Kate's level yet, so I was like, oh, I don't need to play the.
I'm sure that Peace Walker's better than 5. It's better than 5.
I probably would be playing Peace Walker happily now if I'd listened to your advice. But yeah.
I love the storyline of Kate just being Palpatine, just being like, "Yes, let the hate flow through you."
Yeah, I was over the moon when Josh dropped 5 and was like, "I get it. It's awful." It's just no MGS3.
I think it's by the time I'd seen like directed, written by Hideo Kojima for about the 5th time within 2 hours of playing it, I was like, please stop putting credits after every mission. It's just ridiculous.
Did you know? Did you know that this is a Kojima game? Did you know? Did you hear it?
I didn't know, but yeah, now I do.
I was not aware of that. I was unaware of the connection to this man. What'd you say his name was again? Who is this guy?
I mean, Kate, I know that you mentioned that you're excited to play Death Stranding, but does it kind of give you pause for his post-Metal Gear output?
It did for a long time, but I think the dust has settled long enough for the reception to Death Stranding to be like, no, do give it a go, like, he follows through. And it was really actually when 2 came out and, like, it seemed to be unanimous praise and people being like, oh, this is really good, that it's made me sort of be like, okay, now I'm like really excited to go into 1 knowing that it follows through, and then people are like, 2's everything you could have wanted from a sequel to 1. So I'm pretty excited. I think it'll be good. Like, he's a cool mate. Like, I'm falling back down the rabbit hole with OD. Like, I used to be fully in the Silent Hills, like, all the little details, or what does it mean, and like, oh, is this like random abandonware game that like someone else was making? Is this a secret project after like all the stuff they did around MGS5 with the like false advertising and like intentional like ARG stuff? And I'm like falling back into it now, being like, oh well, in the OD trailer, the door on the wall is like slightly tilted, just like the one in the Silent Hills trailer from like years ago. And if you like, in the crossed out writing in the OD trailer, you can fit like years after the legendary horror game PT, and like all these things. And I'm like, oh no, I can't fall down that again. So I'm just gonna get disappointed. I'm I'm just gonna get upset.
It's a
Your
dangerous
heart's just
path.
going to be broken.
Yeah, dangerous path
I mean,
to
It's
walk.
a dangerous path.
Don't get me wrong. I got my PS4 with PT right here, and this thing goes to the grave with me. I'm never getting rid of this thing. But yeah, I mean, it's tough because I was such a hater on Silent Hill 2 Remake. Not a hater, but much more cynical leading up to that.
I was
like,
super cynical.
you know, but, Bloober and Konami delivered. And I think that with, Silent Hill 2 Remake, people were just like, all right, it's Silent Hill 2. It's, the same Silent Hill 2 that we know and love with like, a bit of an upgrade. We'll really judge it when a new Silent Hill comes out. And Silent Hill F came out, and that got, some pretty high praise across the board. So I think that the anxiety has lifted from the Silent Hill fan base. But now the one that I'm really waiting for is Townfall. Did you fall down that rabbit hole of like secret ARG kind of shit that they scattered into that?
No.
You got your homework for after this, because they have like the same thing with like coded messages in the like audio files. Like you can see images in the radio static and stuff. So if you're looking for that kind of conspiracy theory, you're gonna have a world of lore to dive into after this.
Like, didn't they do like that weird live episode thing where you vote on what happens?
No, never happened. No,
yeah,
forget
I just
it.
remembered that had happened, and I was like, wait, didn't they?
I was trying to explain that to somebody recently. He was like, he's a fan of the franchise, and he was like, wait, what is this thing? And I tried to explain it to him. He's like, I still don't get it. What's the point? I was like, that's what we all asked.
Exactly.
None of us know.
What is the point?
We're all over here going,
The point is Konami likes money. That's
Did
it.
you have
End
like
of story.
a trauma meter or something? There was something weird like that. It was really stupid.
But the antithesis of stupid, this year has actually been pretty great for video games. We've got a lot of, I think that this is a year where there doesn't feel like a clear standout for Game of the Year.
And the Game of the Year is... Mon ami Clair Obscur, Expédition 33!
When we last spoke, it was for 2023. Pretty unanimously, people were thinking that Baldur's Gate 3 was going to come out as Game of the Year, which, surprise, surprise. What have been kind of the standouts for you this year in terms of like games from this year that you feel have stuck out to you?
I mean, there's a lot I haven't got around to, like with Silent Hill F and Death Stranding 2. I feel like those are... Like, I haven't heard enough good praise to think that F could be it. I think Death Stranding 2 maybe, from my surface level reading of the room. Hades 2 is like the best reviewed game this year, and I'm like, well, I loved Hades 1, and if it's that but better, then that's probably going to be amazing. So, and there's a lot of cool like indie stuff coming out, like Clover Pit. I thought it was really cool, which is like a slot machine version of Balatro, which is sick. I don't know if it has the depth of that. I haven't like fully dived in to really get a read on that. Yeah, and then I guess for me it'd be Blueprints is looking like it at the moment, which I think it's more like Outer Wilds if it was a roguelike. Which Outer Wilds kind of is anyway, but your like permanent progression is just your knowledge you gain. It's the first game since then where I'm like, oh, everything you learn about this game is exciting and is progress. Like, you go through and you're like, oh, I wasn't paying attention to the paintings in every room. Let me figure this out. Each room's got its own puzzle here. Let me write that. Oh, if I get a grid of the whole layout, there's actually a solid message on every square of every room. Oh, I haven't been paying attention to there's a chess piece in every room. What does the chess piece mean? There's a chessboard here. Where do I place the pieces? And then there's like rooms where you have to like go and start a puzzle, go round, come back another day and finish another part of the puzzle. And it's sick. It's sick. It's just like Outer Wilds again. It's literally rekindling that sense of like sheer wonder. It's the game that, of all the things, probably besides like Death Stranding, because I know Kojima does weird stuff with it as well, where it's like, this is the peak of what you can do in this medium, in something that can only be executed in this medium. Like Outer Wilds is, in that it is you, yourself, going on an adventure, learning things for the first time. There's no other art form where you are the one uncovering the story. You are the one learning things that is like satisfying, and that your reward is learning something and being like, that's so sick, I never even realised that. Blueprints is capturing that again, and that's really cool. And like loads of people have posted about Blueprints being like, oh, this is the best thing since like Outer Worlds, and people are like, I don't get it, it's just a puzzle game. And like, there's so much more, and the longer you stick with it, the more it's just like, the more you're like, oh, and there's so many layers. You keep peeling it back and being like, oh, this goes so much deeper than I thought, and there's so much more going on. And I'm a person who really struggles with point and clicks. I find them way too hard. I find them like quite obtuse at times. But Blueprints is also doing a good job of, if you're stuck on a puzzle, you can just go and do something else. And there's usually like 3 different places where the game will be telling you how to solve the same puzzle in different ways in case you get stuck. There's like multiple hints and stuff. So yeah, Blueprints is looking like the game of the year for me. I haven't finished it, but being a roguelike, like I've got to the first credits roll, but then the game starts and it's like, the credits rolled, but I've got like 30 pages of handwritten notes about stuff that I still haven't solved. So there's so much more going on, and that's like just one of the puzzles that makes up whatever the grand puzzle of the game is. And I've heard that there is a definitive the end when you actually get it solved and stuff, but it's just like one big puzzle cube that you just keep unraveling layers of, like Outer Worlds, where it's like you have to have all this knowledge of, you go here, you do this. I don't want to say because Josh still hasn't played Outer Worlds. And one day I'll sit there with him and watch the whole playthrough and be like, this is the best thing I've ever seen, because there's literally nothing that will compare to watching someone's first time through that game.
Even with I mean, I know that Outer Wilds factored into
it was like one of the
Blossom.
things. It was like one of the inspirations of Blossom. Yeah, but so was FF14. And I'm not saying, yeah, do you want to play 3,000 hours of an MMO? At least Outer Worlds like 50.
Listen, how much do you like this band?
Yeah, I mean, I've done the same on this album with like half this album's like mouth-washing Silent Hill 3 and Nier.
Oh, we're gonna get to that. Before we get to that, though, Josh, what have been the standouts for you?
Yeah, probably have to be a short and sweet answer, really, because I've just not, probably won't find out my 2025 game for quite a while, really, because I've just not played enough. But yeah, I guess like the standout one for me is maybe Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, but I don't think it does enough differently to the first game to like maybe put it amongst some of the other titles I've heard about this year. Like, I really enjoyed it for all the same reasons I enjoyed the first ones. I think it is a tremendous achievement, but if the first game didn't win loads of stuff, then I don't think the second will. Yeah,
the first game did win quite a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but I mean, not even so much like what do you think the popular consensus for game of the year is, more just like what was the standout for you, because like I know that my game of the year is sure as shit not going to be like signed, sealed, delivered by Game Awards as game of the year.
Yeah, I think like the thing that I just love about that game is when I played the first game for the first time, it took me like maybe like 5 or 6 hours to kind of get it, because it was just such a struggle, and like they really just pit you into like a terrible situation and make you struggle with these like really hard controls, and you kind of feel like it's one of the only games I can think of where you really do feel kind of useless, like the protagonist does, until you get used to things. And then I was kind of interested to see how they would sort of pit you into that in the second game, or if you would just start kind of in the same position as you ended the first game, as really confident and sort of knowing your craft. But then they got me again. Literally the same thing happened. Like, I was just like, this is impossible. What have they done? Like, they set it up in a really clever way without spoiling things, that you kind of get into the position you were in the first game where you're a nobody again. And then there's times I'm just like, oh, I need to get some money now. How am I going to go get money? And it's like, I need to go and steal something, or I need to go and do a certain mission and get some clothes first, because I can't do it without this certain thing. And it's just a really interesting game in that respect, that it kind of forces you into these little, I need to do this to do that, I need to do that to do this. kind of thing, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm really deep into this, and then you like getting that buzz and kind of getting into the actual game itself again. And I think it's just really clever the way they do it. And then then you're halfway into the game and you're all armored up to the nines and and just like super confident again. And I guess it just does a really great job of immersing you into the world. Even though you're playing as like a character with a personality, it kind of, the gameplay kind of assists that and kind of puts you into his shoes with the scenarios they kind of create, and sort of kind of makes you feel his plight and kind of feel it yourself, which is cool. And yeah, I just love the music again, love the setting. It's not, gritty and dark, and I think a lot of modern games are like, oh, it's a medieval setting, so everything's like dark and twisted and crazy, but the world probably was beautiful back then as well as dark. It's a bit of like the Breaking Bad when they like switch to Mexico and it's the yellow screen in a way I think games can do sometimes, but I think they do a good job in making the world feel a bit brighter when it doesn't need to be. Yeah, I think that's probably the reasons it's the standout for me really. But as I said, full disclaimer, I think I've made it clear for anyone that's read past interviews with me that I'm a big Nintendo fan. So yeah, maybe things will change once I get around to getting a Switch 2.
Oh, so you haven't picked one up yet?
No, not been able to afford it basically, but I really want to play the new Mario Kart, and I really want to play Donkey Kong Bonanza, which I've heard's like topping a lot of lists for people. So
yeah, that was getting some 10s. I remember seeing on review scores. Like I remember one of the ones that hit, I think it was IGN, gave it a 10 right away. And would there be a particular like title or point that would be like, oh, they got me? What would it be that pushed you over that ledge?
New Zelda.
Yeah, right, I think that would be the case. Yeah, it's probably my favourite series of all time, Zelda, and they've not missed yet for me, so I think that'd definitely do it. But don't get me wrong, there's been some like Amazon it's in your basket moments a few times. It's gone. Yeah. But then all it takes is your car to just need a new set of tyres all round. I'm like, fuck, I just need to, and then it's like, oh, that's...
Then you just walk everywhere, man.
True.
Walk everywhere while
Listen,
playing
you just carry your drums to practice, it's fine.
That's true. Get yoked instead, start carrying around those cymbals on my back again like I used to back in the day.
I think besides Nintendo stuff, me and Josh have just been like, I've got a PC that I play everything on, and then whenever I swap out my graphics card and motherboard, it just goes in Josh's PC.
Yeah.
It's just like one gen behind where I am. I'm on like my 3080 and Josh is on like my 1080 or something at this point.
Hand-me-down specs, but it does the job.
It does the job,
Hey, there's a lot of fun games to be played that don't require like the newest top of the line.
But that's the thing, like the best thing I played this year was probably like I finally got around to doing all of FF10. I just on the PS2 because the remake or the remaster or something, like I literally booted it up and I was like, something about this doesn't look right. And then I looked at footage of the PS2 version and was like, oh, it's awful. And then I was like, I swear I bought a copy of this at some point. I found it like £1.50 from Kex and was like, right, I'm just playing that on my PS2.
That is
great.
Absolutely worth £1.50. Absolutely.
Yeah. We got like 90 hours out of it, so I was like, yeah, that's all right. That'll do.
That is a fantastic cost versus time ratio. That's excellent.
So you brought up the new album, Fleshwork. You had mentioned in your interview with Kerrang that there are nods to Silent Hill and there are nods to Final Fantasy. And on the anime side, Chainsaw Man. Were these references meant to be more like Easter eggs in terms of your interest in video games, or were they like full-on influences in terms of your songwriting or your lyrical approach? I think Chainsaw Man you mentioned was like more of a factor in terms of...
The Chainsaw Man, based on like the Gun Devil arc from the manga, that was like the song Fleshwork sort of started from that, and then I wrote around that being like the perspective of the track, I guess. So it was a little bit more overt on this. No, there wasn't like completely overt on Blossom anyway. The other two, Black Scrawl is just about Mir, and then Heather is Silent Hill 3 from Heather's perspective. Yeah, I mean they weren't exactly subtle, but then I was picking those things because I was like, oh cool, you can relate this to other stuff, take it out, like decontextualize it and then turn it into something else. So like Heather, the way like the cult or whatever in Silent Hill 3 is using Heather and Claudia and all these like cogs going on, and how it's all just like people manipulating her and trying to get something out of her. I used that as a sort of thing for like, in a wider scope, like being a cog in a wider system that just wants value out of you as a number and not treat you like a person. And then the same with Nier, talking about like self-destruction and humanity's tendency to destroy itself and be cruel to itself without really caring about it and stuff. So much stuff that I love in media, I get round to watching some old classic movies or playing some older games and then being like, oh, this thing and this thing I like is like really heavily pulling from this. Like I watched In the Mouth of Madness for Halloween and was like, I know the short story would have probably inspired it too, but I was like, oh, it's just Alan Wake. And Alan Wake's like pulling that and like Twin Peaks and Lynch and stuff in general, and so much of that informs so directly. Like there's a room that in that movie at one point through a doorway, and the movie came out in the 90s, and it's literally like Alan's writing room with like the window behind him and the typewriter at the desk, and I was like, oh, sick. And it's like he's typing the story that's coming true as he types it. I think that like even if it's such a strong inspiration point, it becomes so decontextualized by the new medium and the new creator's take on it that it stands alone. Like it doesn't take away from my enjoyment of Alan Wake knowing, oh, there are these really heavy inspirational elements coming in from other things. You're not going to play Metal Gear and be like, oh, it's really ruined by all the overt like John Carpenter and movie references and stuff, like, and James Bond isms. Like those are the things that are like, oh, that's really cool that this guy really liked this and then was like, I want to pull these parts I like into the projects I'm creating. So yeah, that's sort of how I saw it.
Did the nerd quality of video games ever give you any pause in terms of using it as an inspiration? Like, the subject matter of the album is pretty heavy. The word that has been brought up a number of times is cruelty. Was there ever a time in which it felt strange to reference something like a video game in terms of an inspiration point? Or for you, is all media kind of on the same level? Like video games, movies, books, doesn't matter what it is. It's just, influence is influence.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I would see it as like, where does this bar start and end? Because like, you can have digital art, you can have like concept art for a video game, you can have Guernica. It all roots from somewhere. At what point does it stop being the thing that's relevant? And I think people writing stories in video games, like, they can be dealing with quite serious topics. Like a reference on the album is Mouthwashing, and that's a game where the core premise of it is like, it disguises itself as like, this is just a sci-fi horror game, but really it's just about sexual assault. That's the thing that's unsaid throughout the game, but it's all like a metaphor for, or not even a metaphor, it's like being around the bush as a way to convey the story of how these things are covered up and like not taken seriously and stuff. So I don't think that video games inherently shouldn't deal with harder topics, because I think a lot of Silent Hill 3 is dealing with the ideas of motherhood and abortions and things like that, which is really funny. Well, I've always found it funny that it seems like Silent Hill 3 is very liberal and pro-choice and pro-finding your own path in life, and then Silent Hill 4, at least on my viewing of it, was really abortion is evil and shouldn't ever happen. And that seemed to be the core plot point of that game, and I was like, this is weird, like right after 3, but I don't know. I'm not, maybe I haven't analysed the media as well. I mean, there's so much, like, even the thing we were talking about at the top of the show, Silent Hill 2, like, that's dealing with a lot of heavy subject issues. That
terrible stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it's not really beating around the bush with that, so...
You also said during your Krang interview that you felt more self-conscious about taking influence, but you've embraced the concept over time. Do you ever actively seek out influence from video games, or is it more just because of the amount that you intake, you just happen to stumble upon these plot points that you feel might be applicable to the work of Pupil Slicer?
It's probably the latter. It's probably the medium I consume my art in more than any others. But I suppose there was a lot more film influence on the first two, and then maybe I ran dry some of those points of reference where, or at least I haven't thought of something that would tie in it, and these things seemed appropriate for what I was writing on this album.
Working the other direction, have you ever had fans of the band speak to either of you, whether it was in person or, I don't know, on the socials, or message you or something, and saying that they, I don't know, found a point that you made on the record very interesting and went and checked out a game and said, oh, I love this?
No, no one ever does that. Not even my bandmates do that.
Catching strays again.
Sorry for throwing you under the bus there, dude.
If it's someone who is already a fan of the game, and then they come up and they're like, this is really cool, they're like, oh my god, I can't believe you wrote something about this. But I don't think I've ever seen it in the other way, of someone being like, oh, I played this because you said you wrote things about it. Which is interesting.
They're lost.
Yeah, they're lost.
Yeah, they're lost.
Like I said, the recurring theme of the album revolves around cruelty. Do the two of you get respite from video games still, or has that cruelty kind of seeped into all aspects of life?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Do you mean...
So, video games are very much part of life. You know, it's not, as much as we talk about it as being escapism, it is very much still, you know, part of the human experience. You know, especially with something like multiplayer games, you can experience that kind of toxicity, that kind of human cruelty, albeit in a much more anonymous, much less impactful kind of form. Do you still find video games as being a way to disconnect and decompress from the day-to-day, or have video games, either through multiplayer games, either through the stress of Kate needing you to play through 5 games of Metal Gear Solid, or whatever it may be, is there just as much stress to be found in that for you?
Yeah, so I guess I don't really play too many online games anymore. Like, had a loads of hours logged in Dota, and that could be pretty toxic. But, you know, you still get that escapism. Yeah, I don't know. I think the world has changed like a hell of a lot in the last few years. But yeah, it definitely feels like people are a little bit more emboldened, I guess, with all the politics that have happened since then. Some of the stuff I've read, like in online reviews recently, have been a lot more unfiltered, and I think it's a little bit of a canon effect of, like, once one person says something, it kind of snowballs is the expression I mean, and you get a lot of a pile on. Yeah, the game space has always been a little bit unfiltered and bad, but yeah, I don't really know what the online space is for that, like, now, in that sense. But
we've both got 100+ hour RPGs to get stuck into instead.
Yeah, so, like, I guess my summarization of that is, like, I guess I'm kind of using it for escapism now, because I do tend to play kind of narrative-y, kind of escapism games, you know, like, I think I mentioned at the beginning of the interview, like, I did a full playthrough of the 2 Red Dead Redemption games, and, you know, they're fantastic games, and I guess, like, I've got a little bit older, and, you know, there's themes of death and, you know, personal loss and stuff, which I've gone through myself in the last few years, that kind of resonated a little bit more with me. But that's kind of a me experience, I guess. So yeah, I guess, yeah, the real world element of it's yeah, not really. I'm not really getting that too much. It still is kind of a form of escapism.
Do you find that, like, that choice to stick within the narrative realm is even in some way fueled by the toxicity that you've encountered through multiplayer games, or is it more just because, like, you're not getting that hit of dopamine by playing Dota that you used to, and now you got to find, your happiness elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably more of a boring answer, but it might just be being a little bit older and the people I played with, going off on different paths, having full-time jobs, and after sort of the online gaming renaissance, which was the COVID pandemic, sadly, where it did sort of go back to feeling like the teenage years a little bit, and logging on online and speaking to people. It's kind of everyone has gone a little bit more reclusive since, I guess, maybe a little bit. But yeah, maybe like subconsciously, but I don't think I've sort of consciously switched to more narrative story focused games on purpose. But there could be something to it.
For me, I find that sometimes the real world is tough enough, so I don't need something dark and brutal all the time. Sometimes I want that Donkey Kong. Sometimes I want that Mario Kart, that bright colored thing. Is there a bit of an appeal of that with Nintendo games for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when I mentioned earlier, there's been some hovering over the basket moments. I mean, when I saw, all the sort of really joyous clips of like all the Mario Kart World things popping up, the soundtrack, and people like having really cool experiences on, I saw a few clips of the online races, and it seems like, I don't know if they've sort of patched it since, but it seems super like anyone can win a race, which I think is the soul of what makes a Mario Kart game good. I know there's people that take it super hardcore, but I actually quite love the fact that you can be 10th place, and then suddenly you get a couple of things, and then you've like won the race, and like destroyed the person who's like been learning the courses and stuff. So I mean, I think that's sort of a little bit at part of Nintendo's ethos. I think they do lean into the escapism side, and family kind of orientated games. I've played Mario Kart 8 quite a lot with my partner and her sister and her mum, who are like, all these different generations, and we've played quite a lot of Mario Party as well together, because they're quite into board games. And I was like, oh, why don't we give the new Mario Party a go around theirs, and sort of even her mum, who's not really played any games at all, can jump on that, and pitching it like it's a very like Nintendo advert. That's sort of how they do it, isn't it? All their marketing, it's like, hey, do you want to come and play Nintendo? Like, to all your family members. But
come on Nintendo, we're waiting for that endorsement, the first band to get a free Switch 2 each on tour before every show. We'd be happy to break out the Mario Kart tournaments or whatever.
But yeah,
record number 4 brought to you by the Switch 2.
I understand what you're saying with like, it sounds like a Nintendo advert, but just because it's in an advert doesn't mean it's wrong.
Doesn't mean it's not true. Yeah.
Right. Truth be told, recently, like, I played Silent Hill F. I just started Look Outside. I bought Chronos.
Not very cheerful set of games.
Right. Like, that's typically what I go for. But also, for whatever reason, the Katamari Damacy soundtrack popped into my head recently, and I was just like, this just makes me happy. Like, I've been playing rounds of Rivals, and I just have the soundtrack on in the background just to keep me, like, elevated and going and engaged. And because of that, I bought the new Katamari Damacy, Once Upon a Katamari, like, and I've been having a lovely time. Like, I can't just do sad and gray for 24 hours a day, or I'm going to lose my mind.
Some of the reason that these pitches exist is because they're true and they work. I mean, like, especially when you mention like lockdown times and playing online, people coming together, and you see a stereotypical advertisement for, say, I don't know, Dungeons and Dragons. I picked that one because I know it.
Very well.
Yeah, very well. Way more than I should. But like the pitch on why you should get into D&D, especially, for people who can't meet in person, is it brings you together. And it's like, well, yeah, you see these advertisements for this, but that's exactly what it does. You play with your friends who maybe live in different countries or, can't get out of the house or whatever, and it's what it's there for,
What about you, Kate? Have you changed your approach to gaming at all?
Well, annoyingly, like, I did stop playing Black Ops 6. I'm not a big online gamer, but it was like, I've got a soft spot for like zombies and the Black Ops series, and have done since it came out. my middle name is from Call of Duty Zombies, Samantha. But like, I love it. I've dumped hundreds of hours into it over the years, and then with Black Ops 6, like, there had been a bit of a lull with 4 and 5 being like okay, and 6 came out, and I was like, oh shit, this feels good. This feels like a spiritual successor to Black Ops 2. We're so back. The multiplayer was great. I was loving it. I was having the best time. And then around, like, there was weird rumors have been like, oh, some of this calling card art's like AI generated and stuff. And then some of these actors from the last game didn't come back because they didn't want to sign a contract to allow themselves to have their voice used to train an AI to do their voice lines in the same game at short notice. And I was like, that's weird. Okay, and I kept playing. And then the first big patch came, and they removed Samantha from Zombies' voice actor from the game and replaced her with a different actress who had signed the contract because she wouldn't sign a contract. And then, like, 5 other voice actors all left at the same time because they were all being replaced with AI. And then it came out that, oh, and not just a bit of it, all of the calling card art in the game was AI generated. Every painting in the game on a thing on a wall is AI generated, and it just rubbed me the wrong way. It was really weird because I was like, the story team and the music team are doing the best work they've done, like, still killing it. The gameplay feels fantastic. Whoever the gameplay designers are great. There's clearly like an infinite marketing budget because it's Call of Duty. Yet for the art team, apparently I had that there were people saying internally it was a team of like 6 or 7 artists doing all of the calling cards, all of the splash screens, all of that. All of them had been fired except one person, and they just streamlined it down to one person generating that. And I'm like, I don't get that level of cost cutting. Like, it can't, surely the salaries of like those people is like a drop in the bucket.
But how much money does Call of Duty actually make?
Like, and it just put a bad taste in my mouth, and I was so into it, and I just stopped because I was playing so much zombies and so much multiplayer, and I was loving it, and I just stopped because I was like, this sucks, and they've removed my favourite voice actress in the games, who's like one of the coolest characters, and she's just gone, and she was replaced by someone else who wasn't nearly as good. Like, not to bash her, but like, I think Julie Nathanson had been playing Sam since World at War in like 2009 in every Black Ops game since then. So it was like, it kind of sucked.
Yeah, losing a series mainstay for you, that person going away because of profit-focused business decisions.
Yeah, and the Treyarch Activision Blizzard would rather go along with that and save some money, and then it did happen that like a month after that I started seeing things pop up being like, these voice lines all sound really weird, and they had start just AI generating voice lines in a game of that budget. Like, why? I don't understand that level of like on like probably like the highest budget game that would have come out that year to be like, oh yeah, let's skimp on like the voices because no one will care. But then to their major audience, which is probably Warzone players buying skins, they don't care. I don't know if you heard when they did the John McClane pack and the voice lines in that, they sold it for like £20 or something, and the voice lines in it literally had background noise from the movie because they just used a bit of audio, didn't cut the start or end at all, and it just, during the matches, it would just play like yippee-ki-yay motherfucker with all the background noise and a bit of the music from the film under it. It was like, what the fuck? This is so bad. And then Black Ops 7's come out, and I've been trying not to be interested, because I'm like, gameplay wise it looks cool, they're doing more spiritual successor stuff to Black Ops 2, but at the same time there's people being like, has anyone noticed that all of the art in this is AI and like really bad, and there's characters with 6 fingers and stuff, and it's like, they've been doing this for like a year or more, and people are only starting to like worry about it now. But I'm like, wow, so that's that series sort of like a bit dead to me, which sucks because it was something I was really enjoying. On another front, there's Battlefield 6 looked really cool, and like it'd be like a return to form. They're trying to rekindle that Battlefield 3 experience and stuff. And then I tried to play the beta, and you had to like change some shit in your BIOS to like enable secure boot for an anti-cheat thing that is like kernel level or something. And I'm good with computers. I built my computer. I spent like a day well, not a day, but like 2 hours trying to do this stuff, and I just gave up because I was like, I'm not doing this to play a beta for a game that I might not even like. I find it hard to believe that there isn't some kind of push from Microsoft involved in that, in how the technology works, to force people to do it, because that's a requirement for Windows 11, and to force people to update to Windows 11, because Windows 11 will force that switch on. And if you don't switch to Windows 11, then you've got to do all this going around and stuff. And I don't want to switch to Windows 11. I'm still on 10 and enjoying myself. Because it just gets worse. Like, they just remove features, and they're hiring people who... I can't remember. The new head of like UI for Windows 11 is someone who was like... Their blurb said, up until a couple months ago, I'd never even used a desktop, and now I'm designing... And that was their thing of like why they'd be such a good designer, because they were a great graphic designer. And I'm like, no wonder Windows is like getting absolutely unusable, which is why, coming back to what we were talking about before the show started, the Steam machine running on its own OS, like the modified version of Linux, is really cool, because it's making game designers have to be compatible with not just locking into that Microsoft architecture. So I think that's a really positive thing for the future of video games. There's the reason you'd play stuff on PC, and the reason people still like using PCs, is because of the freedom it gives you with it being a machine where you can mess with stuff in it. And if it continues down the path it seems to be going, it will just be a glorified Xbox that runs apps. That's where Microsoft seem to want to take Windows.
Happier thoughts. At the time of this interview, you're gearing up for a UK tour with LLNN. Do you have any games lined up to bring with you?
I've found from experience that no gaming happens on tour if I bring it. I won't even read a book on tour if I bring it, so... I mean, but I get car sick, so I have to sit in the front and just listen to music and look at the road. So I think Josh has managed to get a little bit of Switch gaming in on tour before.
Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom dropped when we were on like our 3-week tour, and that was just... It was a non-negotiable that would be getting played, but we have like a bit of a running joke in the band that like since then I always bring my Switch on tour and it just never comes out. And
we hear that all the time though. People say, yeah, I put it in the backpack every single time, and every single time it stays in the backpack.
We brought it to recording the album, The Switch, and it stayed in the backpack and didn't get played the entire time we were recording the album. But we did take the HDMI cable out of the bag and use it to connect a laptop to a TV so we could watch random YouTube videos. So then it became the running joke of like a Family Guy segment where it's like, this reminds me of the time I was Josh's Switch's HDMI cable. Hey, oh great, you're plugging me in the laptop, but you're not going to use me to play games. I see how it is.
You effectively brought with you like a several £100 HDMI cable case.
Yeah, basically. Besides the tour, I've got. I'm looking forward to Routine and Resi 9, my big ones. I can't believe Routine's coming out. It's been like 14 years. I looked it up. I think I was 16 years old when the trailer for Routine came out, and I'm like, okay, it's been 14 years. Great. I hope it's good.
That's a hell of a wait, though. I mean, you staying committed for that many years.
I wasn't committed. They had like 8 years of radio silence, and then they did another trailer, and then they do one like every 3 years, and they're like, we're still making this game, by the way. And it's like 4 people. So you've got like Mick Gordon doing sound on it and stuff, which is cool.
We got Silksong this year.
Oh, it's Silksong. Yeah, I still haven't played that. That's probably loads of people's.
Theoretically, GTA 6 will come out at some point, maybe.
Wasn't there a bunch of chatter about a new Half-Life as well? That extra chapter thing? Or is that still not happening?
I don't talk to Gabe.
I was chatting to Gabe yesterday. He said Half-Life 3 is out in a week.
Yeah. It's going to shadow drop. Don't worry about it.
It probably, to be honest, if it did, it would. Like,
Oh, for
so
sure.
I'm pretty sure Alex was like, it didn't have much fanfare before. It was just like, oh, here it is, and you can play it now.
I don't even know why Rockstar is trying to hype up GTA 6 as if they won't
don't need to, right?
crush industries with that release. Like, put it out when it's done, and then be like, here you go. They'll sell 1 trillion copies over 24 hours.
They don't even need a marketing budget. Like, they can just be like, oh yeah, just like put like a photo, like one person just holding a copy of the game and being like, it's done, ships tomorrow, and like that's all.
Well, you already started what I was going to ask, which is, what are the titles that you're looking forward to picking up, both of you?
Routine, Resi 9, and then the stuff I didn't play this year, so I'm going to have to get around to Silk Song.
What are the hopes on Resi 9? You've mentioned quite a bit of excitement on the franchise. What are the hopes on this? What are you hoping for?
It to be good. They haven't really missed. Like, I may not have liked 8 as much as 7, but that's because 7 was goated, besides the last hour, which we don't talk about. 8 was also really good, and that's saying, like, 7 is like a 9 out of 10 game. Like, it literally would be a 10. And the only problem with that sequence at the end is just, like, it's annoying if you ever replay the game, because it's kind of boring, because it's linear. And then 8 was fantastic, probably still like a strong 8 to a line 9. They've been doing a good job. Like, even though I am still contrarian and like, I don't think the remakes are particularly good remakes, but I think they're good games.
I'd agree with that.
And then we don't talk about 3 remake. 3 OG being the best Resident Evil game, of course. I'm trying to avoid stuff. I got a bit worried that they're showing a lot really early, and I had to immediately already be like, right, I'm radio silent on it, because it looked like they were just showing extended sequences of, here's the game, and it's like, it's a Resident Evil game. It's going to be 6 to 7 hours long. You've shown like a quarter of the entire game if you're doing these extended gameplay demos. I don't know why you're doing this.
I mean, I hope that doesn't mean that they're trying to push it to like 15, 20, 25 hours, because you can't really sustain a Resident Evil for that long.
I know Resident Evil 4 would beg to differ. That's like 16-hour game.
Yeah, 4, even that's moving at a real brisk pace too. I mean, you can easily get over 20 hours in that game, not like trying to 100% it or anything. It's just a
But then that is
game.
a completely different pacing to what a 1 to 3 and a 7 and an 8 is. That's why 8 was in such a weird place, is it had the gameplay, which was still survival horror. It had that 1 to 3 or 7 gameplay, yet it was trying to do a lot of what 4 did and be like, oh, remember 4, remember all these mechanics, remember this upgrading and stuff, which was cool, but it felt underbaked because it was in the shell of, this is still a survival horror Resident Evil game. And as such, there's no ammo, there's no upgrade, like, you barely get to do any of the upgrading and stuff. And that was strange, I thought. In the ways that 7 is a very loose, soft remake of 1, only in, like, pacing. 8 was trying to do that for 4 and didn't quite succeed.
Because 4 is an action game, that's why you can get that much time out of it. But, like, if you want survival horror, you can't sustain survival horror to a quality degree over 20 hours.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't think I can think of a survival horror game that reaches past, like, 8 hours and is still good. Alien Isolation, arguably slightly too long.
100%. Great game, but didn't need all of it.
Yeah.
Josh, what about you? When are you getting the Switch 2? When are we going to peer pressure you into that one?
Soon.
Depends if Dustblood's good.
Yeah, I'm comfy in my like, you know, £800 PC, playing my 2004 games. That classic meme, you know, it's a peaceful life. But yeah, I would like to get a new console. We were actually, funny enough, just before this call talking about, Dawnwalker's a new.
Oh yeah, Blood of the Dawnwalker.
Yeah, and then I was like, is this a like, that band Bashushka? The one that's like has 2 bands. Is this going to be like? Is this the true Witcher 4 scenario? So both of those games look really cool.
Witch 4 and Blood of the Dawnwalker.
Yeah. And then Shameless plug, if anyone on, Cyberpunk 2 is working on that behind the scenes, PupilsLicer are always open to delivering for the soundtrack if they're interested. You never know. We try and get it in where we can, but...
So many other people we know got in Cyberpunk, and we're like, please let us get...
It's not impossible.
Yeah. 2 mods on it, Mastiff's on it, Converge is on it, The Arm's on it, Backwash is on it. It's
Health
not
is on
fair. It should be us. They don't like Cyberpunk as much as we do. They wouldn't write something that's got as much lore, understanding as I could.
Is that the ideal game for you to want to contribute to, or is there another title that you would want to see?
It would be that. Obviously for the commercial success of the band, something like GTA probably makes more sense.
I think Cyberpunk World's a bit more PupilsLicer coded than satire-y GTA, isn't it? And yeah, I think it'd be a good fit for us.
Or just Rockstar could hit us up for, I don't know, Red Dead 3 soundtrack, do a health and just get put on a full soundtrack.